Welcome to the Fibromyalgia podcast. I'm Tami Stackelhouse, fibromyalgia coach, author, and founder of the International Fibromyalgia Coaching Institute. The goal of this podcast is to empower you with access to the dream team of experts and coaches I've discovered are key to living the fibro life you love. From the comfort of your own home, and maybe even your pajamas, I'll help you take back control of your life and health. To help out with fibro fog, I always include full show notes and additional resources at fibromyalgiapodcast.com. Welcome to the Fibromyalgia podcast. I'm your coach, Tami Stackelhouse, and this is episode 183. Have you ever felt like you're doing all the right things to feel better and it's still not working? You're trying harder, you're being more consistent, you're following the advice you're being given, and you're still stuck, maybe even moving backwards? This is one of the most frustrating and confusing parts of fibromyalgia because at some point you start to wonder if there's something wrong with you. Why do things seem to work for other people but not for you? A lot of people assume that the answer is they just need to try harder, be more disciplined. And the problem is that advice does work, just not for everyone all the time. You're not failing because you're not trying hard enough. I know you're trying really hard. This is why nothing seems to be working. You're just doing the right things, but at the wrong time. And when that happens, it doesn't just not work. It can actually set you back and make you feel worse, even when it's things that make other people feel better. And this is where it gets really frustrating, extra frustrating. It starts to feel like nothing works for you, and it's really just your timing that's off. I see this all the time, particularly with things like nutrition and exercise, right? These are good things. We are told to eat better, cook more healthy meals, or exercise, move more, or just maybe more consistently. And those things are good and they can help, but only if your body is stable enough for them to work. And if it's not, more effort is not going to fix that. This is something I have seen over and over again for years, and it's one of the biggest misconceptions I see when working with fibromyalgia patients. It's what led me to map out the Fibro hierarchy of needs way back in 2020. Now, you have probably heard of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, but there is a version of that for fibromyalgia too. And once you see it, it's like a light that turns on. Suddenly, a lot of things start to make a whole lot more sense. Now, this isn't just about fixing one thing. This is about learning how to take back your life in the right order, because that is what makes this the smarter path. It helps you focus on what your body actually needs first. Now, keep in mind, this is just one piece of the puzzle. There are other things that matter too, like your fibromyalgia wellness style, your environment, other conditions you've been diagnosed with, where you live can even be a factor. All of this works together. What we're going to talk about today is actually pretty simple, but a whole lot harder to apply in real life, especially when your symptoms and your energy keep changing. So I've created a tool that I will share with you at the end that should help with that. So when it comes to improving your health, there are different kinds of needs, and they tend to build on each other. You can't just skip ahead and expect things to work the way you want them to, because you can't build a house on a shaky foundation, right? And you can't take back your life that way either. We will often see this shown as a pyramid. So if you're watching this on video, I'll put an image of that pyramid up for you right now. And if you're listening, then be sure and go check out the show notes for today for a visual of the Fibro hierarchy of needs. You'll find that at fibromyalgiapodcast.com/183. Now, the bottom layers of the pyramid support everything above them. And if something is missing at the bottom, what you build on top is not going to hold. Now, real life, of course, it's not quite this neat. You can be at different stages in different areas of your life all at the same time. So this isn't something that we move through in a perfect step-by-step, build your pyramid kind of way. But this does give you a way to understand what your body and your life need most right now. Here's another example. When a client comes to me, they were usually functioning at a really high level before fibromyalgia. Maybe they were running their own business or were a mentor in their community. But then when their physical stability changes, right, when their fibro kicks up, their expectations of themselves and their body don't change quite yet. So they keep trying to operate up here at the top, but their body actually needs support at a much more foundational level. And that's where everything starts to break down. Now, as we go through this today, you'll see why doing the right things still might not be working. By the way, if you're a visual person, it might be really helpful for you to go out and grab the guide that I have for you. You will find that in today's show notes, fibromyalgiapodcast.com/183, and then you'll have something you can hold in your hands as I'm describing this. Now, at the base of our pyramid, we have physical stability. This is the foundation for everything. Your body doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be completely healed and whole, but it does have to be stable enough before you can do anything else. And if it's not, nothing that you build on top is going to hold. Now, this is what it often feels like when this is the area you need to work on. Your body is unpredictable. Your energy is inconsistent. You never know when it's going to be a good day or a bad day. You find yourself in a cycle of pushing, and then crashing. And when brain fog is high, even simple things feel hard to follow through on or even just tackle at all. This is where people tend to get stuck when they try to build consistency or habits with a body that isn't stable yet. Now, if you're being guided by somebody who does not understand fibromyalgia, they are going to see your lack of follow-through and tell you to build better habits or be more consistent. Or my favorite, as I roll my eyes, just do it. But if your body isn't stable yet, your lack of follow-through isn't just because you don't want to, it's because you can't. And so these things are actually not going to stick at all, and it will feel like nothing is working. Not because you're doing it wrong, but because your body isn't ready for those things yet. So what actually helps at this stage of the game is stabilizing your body and your fibromyalgia first. That means improving your sleep, calming that overactive nervous system, having a pain management plan that actually works for you, living within your body's real energy budget, not what you wish it was, but what it actually is. And this is where having the right support really matters. Like I said, if you're working with somebody who doesn't understand fibromyalgia, they might think you're a flake. But if you're working with a certified fibromyalgia coach, for example, here are some of the things they should be helping you to do. Stabilize your symptoms first and foremost. They're going to match what you're doing to what your body can actually handle. And they're going to help you make small strategic changes that your system can sustain. So the goal at this stage, again, is that physical stability. So your body, once again, can become something that you can rely on because you just can't out-discipline an unstable body. Next, we have environmental stability. We talked about physical stability, but now we also need to talk about the environment around you. This is about how your life supports you feeling better or works against it. If this is the stage that you need to be working on, it will often feel like this. Your schedule is chaotic, so you just can't plan ahead. You're fighting to get adequate care. You're worried about keeping your job or about paying the bills. Or even just trying to get the people around you to believe you about your fibromyalgia. Stress at this level is high. This is where people tend to get stuck. When they try to build routines on a life that isn't stable yet. Because from the outside, again, this can look like a consistency problem, right? So at the first stage we talked about, right? Physical stability. You can't build routines because your body isn't stable. At this stage, you can't build routines because your environment is stable. So again, it can look like a consistency problem, and you're told to build better habits, to push through the overwhelm of everything happening around you. But the thing is, if your environment is working against you, it's not really consistency that's the problem. You can be consistent and everything else can be chaotic, and that's why it's not working. You're trying to create structure in an environment that doesn't support it yet. So what actually helps at this stage is simplifying, creating more predictability in your life, reducing any unnecessary stress, or at least as much as possible, and making sure that you have the right team to support you. This is another place where having the right kind of help really matters, as I said. If you're working with a coach, some of the things they should be helping you do are securing the right medical support, right? Building that medical dream team. Stabilizing your treatment approach so you know, if I feel like this, I do this. At this stage in my life, this is where I was going to the massage therapist every other week and going to acupuncture every other week and all of those routine kinds of things. What you don't want to do at this stage is have someone push you into growth or habit building before your environment is actually ready. So again, the goal at this stage is to create a stable environment and a life that supports you feeling better, not a life that you just merely survive. Okay, our next area. This area is about being supported, understood, and part of a community. This is belonging and connection. Because fibromyalgia, it often creates isolation. You might feel shame about your symptoms, or like you're a burden to the people around you, or just like nobody gets it. Because of that, you start to withdraw. And when that happens, you lose a key part of what helps you heal. At this stage of the game, people tend to get stuck when they're pushed towards independence before they have enough support. What often happens is your body is a bit more stable, right? We worked on that first, that physical stability. Then your environment became more stable. And now it really starts to look like you're doing a lot better. And in many ways, you are. Absolutely, you are. But here's the thing. Your fibromyalgia, it is still there. You're not fully well yet. You're not healed. You're better, but you're not healed. And so one of the things that might be missing is this connection and support. You don't have all the support that you need yet. This is the point where people around you, and maybe even you yourself, start expecting more independence, more consistency, more forward movement. And so the focus naturally wants to be on being stronger, being more independent, pushing through. But that shift can only happen when you have the support that you need. And healing does not happen in isolation. So what actually helps at this stage is rebuilding that connection, that sense of support with safe people who understand, even if you just start with one person. And we had a podcast episode where I talked about that recently. I'll put a link to that in today's show notes. This stage is also about improving how you communicate your needs. That communication, that community, that support, that belonging does depend on good communication, right? So we need to improve how we can communicate our needs. We need to allow ourselves to receive support. And we had something recently on allowing yourself to receive support as well. Support groups can be incredibly helpful at this stage too. Whether they're local support groups or online support groups, they can be super helpful. Now, if you are working with a certified fibromyalgia coach, this is what we'll be helping you on. We're going to be helping you feel seen and validated. We're going to help you build safe and supportive connections. We'll probably be one of your first safe and supportive connections, but we'll help you develop more of those. We'll help you strengthen at least one relationship where you can be honest about what you need. And we'll support you in communicating those needs more clearly. That could be just talking through them with you, or even role-playing some of those conversations you might need to have. We are not, at this stage, going to be pushing you towards independence before you have the support that you need. So remember, the goal at this stage is that connection, that belonging, to feel supported, to feel understood, and like you're not alone anymore in your healing. Now, the fourth area is called self-efficacy, but I'll put it a little bit more simply for you, and that is self-trust. This is about trusting yourself to make decisions, trusting yourself to follow through on the actions that you need to take, and really just trusting your own brain and your body again, because fibromyalgia can really shake that confidence, right? When you are struggling at this stage, it will look like this. You'll second guess yourself. You'll worry about making things worse or triggering a flare. You might hold yourself back. You might research and research and research, but never actually act on what you learn. At this stage, people tend to get stuck when they rely too heavily on outside answers without rebuilding trust in themselves. I see this a lot in clients who are coming to me and saying, "What do you think I should do?" We need to rebuild your own trust in yourself. And for a while, getting that support and that guidance is exactly what you need. But when you get to this stage of self-efficacy or self-trust, this is what you need to work on. And if you stay here too long, it will begin to work against you, right? You might keep looking for the right answer instead of learning how to make decisions for yourself. So even though you have more information, you may or may not have more confidence. So what we really want to do here is help you rebuild your trust in yourself gradually. And we do that by making small, manageable decisions to follow through in ways your body can handle, to learn from what happens instead of trying to get it perfect. You might even have to learn how to fail and then how to start again. Oh, boy, do I remember learning this one. That was not fun. So if you're working with a coach, this is where their role will actually start to shift. We'll no longer be thinking for you, but we'll be helping you think for yourself. This is where we'll stop giving you all the answers, right? And we'll start helping you learn to find your own. We'll be asking you more questions than teaching you things at this stage. And then we're going to support you in taking action, in following through, in evaluating what went right, what went wrong, and helping you build evidence that you can trust yourself again. So again, the goal at this stage is self-trust, to trust your body, your decisions, your brain, your ability to follow through. Now, the final area on our Fibro hierarchy of needs is having a life beyond symptom management, or self-actualization, if you want a fancy name. This is where your life begins to expand beyond your symptoms, right? Because for many of us, life has revolved around our fibromyalgia and our symptoms for far too long. Decisions have been based on fear, on things like trying to avoid ending up in a flare, trying not to make things worse, trying to manage our pain and our fatigue. And in a lot of ways, that makes sense, right? If you remember earlier, I talked about a stage where we needed to learn how to live within our energy budget. But over time, as you grow, as things expand, as you learn more, as your body heals, if that doesn't start to shift, it can keep your life very small. At this stage, if you're protecting yourself, you're also holding yourself back. And at this stage, people tend to get stuck when they keep staying focused on that managing of symptoms instead of where they can expand their life. Because even when things are more stable, it can still feel safer to stay in maintenance mode, to keep doing the things that feel predictable and avoiding risk. But this is where the shift needs to happen, right? If you've been following me for any length of time, you will have heard me talk about your life needing to center itself on your healing and not revolve so much about fibromyalgia, on making that mental shift from my world is about managing my fibromyalgia to now my world is about how do I get better? And at this stage of self-actualization or building a life beyond your fibromyalgia symptoms, at this stage, that way of thinking should feel a lot more natural, a lot more automatic. So you'll begin making decisions based on what's going to move me forward. What's going to help me feel better tomorrow? What supports the life I want to be living? And from there, your life can begin to expand again. You reconnect with the things that truly matter to you. You start doing things that feel meaningful, even if they maybe look different than they used to. Maybe you take small, supported risks, not wild risks without support, but supported risks where you can begin trying things again in a new way and at a pace that your body can handle. And if you're working with a coach, this is where their role shifts again. At this stage, we're not just helping you stabilize or rebuild, we are helping you expand. We're going to help you clarify what matters most to you. We're going to encourage growth beyond just symptom management. We're going to be that support as you begin taking healthy risks. And we're going to help you build a life that reflects your values, not those limitations. Again, the goal at this stage is expansion. It's building a life that fits your body and feels meaningful to you. Now, all along this path, you already have begun taking your life back. But this is where it starts to feel bigger, more open, more like you again. This is why we call this the path to reclaiming your life. Now, I haven't used that phrase yet in this episode, but when you download that guide I'm going to tell you about here in a little bit that I mentioned at the beginning, you'll see that right at the very top, the path to reclaiming your life. We start with stabilizing your body. Then we stabilize your environment. We create that belonging and connection. We rebuild that trust in yourself, your brain, your body. Then we start expanding our lives. And for some people, there's something else that starts to happen here too. A desire to give back, to pay it forward, to support others, to share what you've learned, to show up in a way you couldn't have before. That might look like becoming a coach. A lot of our coaches, this is exactly how they ended up as a coach, me included. This might mean becoming a patient advocate or leading a support group, or simply being able to be there to help a hurting friend. Or maybe it's being able to show up in your life again, maybe completely un-fibro related, but just showing up again and sharing your own special magic with the world. That's what taking back your life really makes possible. Your ability to contribute and make the world a better place. I know that sounds a little, big or whatever, but truly, the world needs each of us to be able to show up and add our own special magic. So if things haven't been working, I hope this gives you a much clearer idea why. It's not because you're failing. It's not because you're doing it wrong. It's simply because there's a mismatch. You're doing the right things, you're just doing them at the wrong time, in the wrong order, and without the foundation in place to support them yet. And the hard part? It is really difficult to see this when you're in it. A lot of people will hear this and think they know where they are in this process. But most people, they're actually not where they think they are. Your symptoms, they change, your energy changes, your life circumstances change. Maybe you get a new diagnosis or whatever, right? And so where you are has now shifted. So even when you have this information, it's hard to know what actually matters most for you right now, because information in your head isn't the same as implementation, living it out, right? You can imagine it like this. It's like being lost in a forest. And when you look out, all you can see are trees, 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 more trees. And from where you're standing on the ground in the middle of the forest, everything looks the same. You think you're walking in a straight line, but wait, didn't I just see this tree an hour ago? You can't see the path forward when you're inside the forest, surrounded by all those trees. What you need at that stage is someone who can see what you can't, someone who knows the terrain, who knows the path, or someone with a higher vantage point. I don't know, maybe someone in a helicopter up above the forest who's looking down on where you are. Someone who can guide you towards that next step. And this is just one piece of how fibromyalgia actually works. There are a whole lot of other layers to this that can make a big difference too. And having someone that knows how all those layers fit together is really helpful. So here's something I want you to reflect on. Where might your actions be mismatched with your actual needs? What have you been trying that might not fit where you are right now? And if you're listening to this and thinking, okay, all right, this makes sense, but I still don't know what I need to do next, or even I don't even know where I fit into all of this, you are exactly who this is for. Like I said earlier, I have created a simple guide that is designed to help you get clear. You can grab a free copy in today's show notes. Just go to fibromyalgiapodcast.com/183 183 and look for that Fibro Hierarchy of Needs guide. And of course, if you want some one-on-one help figuring it all out, that is exactly what we do as certified fibromyalgia coaches. Every day, we help clients just like you figure out where you truly are right now, not just where it feels like you are, but where you truly are and what you need to focus on next. Then we help you take those next steps in a way that works for your body and works for your life. Whether that means we're giving you support and encouragement or helping you follow through on things when life gets hard. Because right now, you don't need more information. With what I've taught you today, you know the information. But what you need right now is what is the next right step for you, for your body, for your life. And you probably need some support as you work on it and as you follow through. If you'd like to, you can schedule a consultation with me or with a certified fibromyalgia coach at findafibrocoach.com, or also that link will be in today's show notes at fibromyalgiapodcast.com/183. And for some of you, as you start to understand this and how it's going to work for you, you might notice something else shifting too. A desire to help other people the way you're learning to help yourself. So if you've ever thought, I wish someone had helped me with this sooner, or if you've ever wanted to support someone else through this in a way you maybe didn't have when you needed it most, then you can learn more about our training programs in the show notes as well. Again, it's fibromyalgiapodcast.com/183. And now I want to share this week's listener shout out. This one just came in the last week, and it's honestly really meaningful for me. It comes from Victoria, one of our coaches. Hello, Victoria. So she has walked this journey herself. And what makes this so special for me is that she is coaching her clients in Russian. She is originally from Ukraine. She's currently living in Turkey, and she is helping clients I would never be able to help in a language I don't speak, in a part of the world I have never been to. And yet, here we are. We're part of the same community, supporting each other, no matter where we are. So this is what Victoria said. She said, I may live far away, but in my heart, I am with you. It is a joy to meet truly beautiful people on your path. I am proud of what you have done for the fibromyalgia community and for me personally. And as she shared this, she had a picture of 3 books sitting together on a shelf. My book, Take Back Your Life, alongside books written by 2 of the coaches that she worked with, who I've trained, Robin Pfaff and Julie Hamilton. Victoria then goes on to say, meeting each of you reminded me that we are capable of creating and giving, even while healing ourselves. This kind of work is only possible when you truly know what it means to live with fibromyalgia. Now, what I love about this is that this is what it looks like when you don't just feel better, you begin to give back. Victoria, Robin, Julie, they are living at that last stage of building a life beyond just managing their symptoms. This is what it looks like when your life starts to expand beyond your symptoms and into something meaningful. Remember, right now, you don't need more information. What you need to know is what the next right step is. And once you have the next right step, things can start to change. I'll see you back here next time. And that wraps up another episode of the Fibromyalgia Podcast. I'm your coach, Tami Stackelhouse. For daily doses of hope, inspiration, and practical advice, come hang out with me on Facebook. Visit facebook.com/fibrocoach to find my personal coaching page and connect with me directly. To find the show notes, additional resources, or to schedule a consultation with me or one of my coaches, visit fibromyalgiapodcast.com.